In 2005, the Pittsburgh Pirates, who hadn't made it to the postseason in almost 15 years, would select Andrew McCutchen with the 11th overall pick in that year's draft. By 2007, he was rated as one of the best prospects in all of baseball. Skip ahead to the summer of '09, and McCutchen was a big leaguer, being one of the lone bright spots on a horrible Pirates team, one that finished with a 62-99 record in last place. This was also back when the Astros were in the National League and in the National League's Central Division, making it the only division with 6 teams in it. The Pirates were so bad that they finished in 6th place. They only got worse in 2010, finishing in 6th place again. 2011 was an improvement for the Buccos, with them finishing in 4th place with 72 wins, 79 wins in 2012, and then came 2013. In 2013, the Pittsburgh Pirates finally did it. Year after year after year after year after year of bad baseball finally came to an end, as they'd win 94 games and make it to the postseason for the first time since 1992. Andrew McCutchen led the offense, winning the National League MVP award, backing an elite pitching staff. The 2013 Pirates pitching staff does not get talked about enough for just how dominant and reliable it was. None of their starting pitchers had an ERA over 4, and neither did any of their bullpen arms. It was Garrett Cole's first season, and he was surrounded by a ton of veterans like AJ Burnett, Charlie Morton, Francisco Liriano, Wandy Rodriguez, and others. The St. Louis Cardinals ended up taking home the division crown, forcing the Pirates to play the Reds in the wild card game, but before that, the Reds and Pirates would play a series in Cincinnati. If the Reds finished the season ahead of Pittsburgh, they'd host the wild card game. If not, the Pirates would, and that's exactly what would end up happening, as the Pirates would go on to sweep the Reds, finishing 4 games ahead of them and going back home to host the wild card game. The wild card game at PNC Park in Pittsburgh was electric, with a rowdy crowd even getting under the skin of Reds starter Johnny Cueto at one point, with him dropping the baseball and then giving up a bomb on the very next pitch to Russell Martin. The Pirates ended up winning it by a comfortable score of 6-2, moving on to face their next division rival in the NLDS, the Cardinals. Game 1 at Busch Stadium in St. Louis was not close, with the Cardinals winning it 9-1. But the Pirates would storm right back in Game 2, winning it 7-1 and going back home with the series tied at a game apiece. In Game 3, a close back-and-forth game would end after an 8th-inning rally by the Pirates, followed by Jason Grilli shutting it down in the 9th, taking a 2-1 series lead. With just one more win to get to move on to the NLCS, the Cardinals only scored 2 runs on a 2-run homer from Matt Holliday. But that didn't matter, as Michael Wacha would shut down the Pirates' offense, limiting them to just a single run through 7 1/3 innings, with the bullpen coming in to shut it down, forcing a decisive Game 5 back in St. Louis. Unfortunately for the Pirates, Game 5 was not close, with the Cardinals winning it 6-1, winning the series. It was the end of a fun run for the Pirates, but this was most certainly not the end. They still had a talented core of players and a solid future ahead of them. Before I get any further, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 70% of my watch time has been from people who aren't subscribed, so hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. Okay, back to the video. In 2014, the Pirates would win 88 games and finish behind St. Louis again, this time by just a couple of games. McCutchen had an even better year than the year prior. Starling Marte, Neil Walker, Josh Harrison, and Russell Martin were really good, and as far as the pitching side of things went, they just picked up right where they left off, continuing to be good and reliable. The newcomer, Edinson Volquez, was good, so was Francisco Liriano again, Garrett Cole, Vance Worley, Jeff Locke, Charlie Morton, and as for the bullpen, the Buccos had a really nice 7, 8, and 9 inning trio with Jared Hughes, Tony Watson, and Mark Melancon locking things down at the closer spot. So back to the postseason and wildcard game they'd go, this time to take on the San Francisco Giants. Unfortunately, the Pirates were about to run into a magical team, with the Giants going on to score 8 runs as starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner would go the distance, throwing a complete game shutout and effectively ending the Pirates' season. Tough way to go out, but the 2015 Pirates were not backing down. In 2015, the Pirates, although finishing behind the Cardinals yet again, would win 98 games and clinch the wildcard spot yet again, clinching the chance to host it yet again, this time taking on the 97-win Chicago Cubs. Garrett Cole, someone who'd finished 4th in the Cy Young voting that year, got the start, and he didn't do so well, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits, 2 of which were home runs. The game also didn't go by without the lack of some drama. After throwing high and in to catcher Francisco Cervelli, Cubs starter Jake Arrieta would get hit right in the ribs in his next at-bat, forcing the benches to clear. Things got a little out of hand. Sean Rodriguez started to box a drink cooler in the dugout, and by the ninth inning, Jake Arrieta was able to finish things off, being the second pitcher in a row to throw a complete game shutout in the wild card game against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. At this point, I don't even think it was heartbreaking or sad for the Pirates and their players. I'd like to imagine it was frustrating as hell. I mean, 2 years in a row, wild card game at home in front of your fans, and you get blanked twice by 2 pitchers in total? That's gotta be infuriating. Baseball season is going to be here before you know it. Whether it's spring training or the regular season, you can get some good deals at tickets with SeatGeek, where you can get $20 off tickets with promo code iTalk. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. I've got the app on my phone, and it's by far and away the easiest way to buy tickets. Whether it's baseball, concerts, or any other type of sport, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying incredibly easy. And they actually tell you if the ticket you're thinking of buying is a good or a bad deal. Green means it's a good one, red means it's a bad one. If you're watching this video, that means you probably like baseball. To get the best seats with the best deals possible at the biggest games possible, I'd be using SeatGeek for when I go to a Major League Baseball game, and you should too. So again, with spring training games starting as soon as next month, get $20 off your first purchase with promo code iTalk. Make sure you click the link in the description or in the comments to download the app. Now, back to the video. So, what now? More pain. That's all that was ahead on the schedule for Pirates fans. 2016 was just a disappointing year. Just 1 year after winning 98 games, they'd go on to win 20 less with just 78, finishing third in their division and missing out on the postseason for the first time since 2012. 2017 was even worse with 75 wins, and then came 2018, the start of the teardown. Prior to the 2018 season, the Pirates traded away their ace Garrett Cole to the Houston Astros for 4 players: Joe Musgrove, Michael Feliz, Colin Moran, and Jason Martin. This was just the beginning. They'd go on to make yet another difficult decision, this time to trade their face of the franchise, Andrew McCutchen, sending him off to the San Francisco Giants for pitcher Kyle Crick, minor leaguer Brian Reynolds, and international signing bonus money. The Pirates would go on to have a very mediocre first half of the season, yet the team decided it was a good idea to trade their best young up-and-coming players for literal trash. Going back to the Cole trade, the best player they got in that deal was easily Joe Musgrove, someone who ended up just being alright in Pittsburgh before getting traded again, this time to San Diego in a 3-team trade including the Mets, receiving 5 prospects in total from both organizations. Besides Joe Musgrove, who didn't even do much for the Pirates before becoming an elite starter with the Padres, Colin Moran isn't on the team anymore, Michael Feliz isn't on the team anymore, and the young prospect they got in Jason Martin? Oh yeah, he's not on the team either. So the Pirates traded away someone worth over $300 million for 4 players, 3 of which have never been good at the big league level, and all 4 of which are in other organizations now. The McCutchen trade ended up being pretty good, as they did get Brian Reynolds, who's in a situation right now with the Pirates that we'll get to in a little bit, but let's continue with the awful trades this franchise has continued to make ever since the Garrett Cole deal. In 2018, like I said, the Pirates were just very mediocre in the first half, nothing special, but decided to trade their 2 young, valuable assets in hard-throwing, nasty right-handed starting pitcher Tyler Glasnow, along with outfielder Austin Meadows, to the Tampa Bay Rays for Chris Archer. Tyler Glasnow has dealt with some injuries over the years, but he is still one of the most electric pitchers to watch in baseball. He's nasty. As for Austin Meadows, who would eventually get dealt to Detroit, well, he was very productive in his time with the Rays, contributing for multiple playoff teams along with Glasnow. As for Chris Archer in Pittsburgh, buckle up, this gets good. To trade for Chris Archer wasn't a great idea to begin with, especially when you're, trading 2 of your top most valuable young players in exchange for him. In the first half of 2018, Archer wasn't even that good. He had an ERA over 4. The idea was that he'd help push the Pirates back to the postseason in 2018, But that didn't happen because one, just like the first half, he just wasn't good in the second half, and two, the Pirates as a team were not good enough to be trying to invest in to win now, finishing the year at 82-79 and in 4th place. As for 2019, it was the beginning of things starting to look real ugly. In 2019, the Pirates lost 93 games and finished dead last in the NL Central, with longtime Pirate manager Clint Hurdle getting fired just before season's end. They had some really good hitting in 2019, but as for the pitching, big yikes. Their best pitcher was Musgrove, and he had a 4.44 ERA. Everyone else had an ERA right around 5 or way above it, and that included Chris Archer. So after a painful 2019, it was time for some more trades. Chris Archer, now a free agent, hilariously signed back with the Rays, so the Rays now had every player involved in their trade with Pittsburgh. Nice job, idiots. Oh, and before I get into some of these trades following 2019, one of the, if not the only good pitcher on that year's roster, Felipe Vázquez, who put up elite numbers in the bullpen, well, he ended up being a really bad person, so he was now off the team with his only chance at playing now being a prison league. Okay, trades. Starling Marte, gone, off to Arizona for 2 prospects. After the shortened pandemic-plagued 2020 season, Musgrove was traded to the Padres, Josh Bell to the Nationals, Jameson Taillon to the Yankees, and eventually Adam Frazier to the Padres. Catcher Jacob Stallings was traded to the Marlins prior to the 2022 season, and that was the last notable trade the Pirates have made. The Pirates have continued to miss out on the postseason, losing at least 100 games 2 years in a row in 2021 and 2022. So where the hell does this franchise go from here? Believe it or not, the future is bright for baseball in Pittsburgh. At least it should be. All of these trades have accumulated a lot of young talent for the Pirates and their minor league system, going from a bottom tier ranked farm system to a top tier one in the matter of a few years. Brian Reynolds is someone who's become a very nice major league player ever since being acquired from the Giants farm system, but that hasn't gone without the lack of some drama. It's been said that Reynolds is asked to be traded, yet the Pirates want to keep him. Not the most ideal scenario. The team has at least listened on some offers from teams, with the asking price from the Pirates reportedly being through the roof. So they must think pretty highly of Reynolds to be asking for such a sky-high asking price. Well, no, actually, they don't, because while asking for the moon in exchange for Reynolds, the Pirates offered their outfielder a 6-year contract extension worth $75 million, which of course is either a massive underpay or it makes no sense, because for someone the Pirates demand such a valuable return for, that contract money doesn't translate to that. Beside the whole Reynolds drama, this Pirates team still has the potential to be a lot of fun in the coming years. They did lock up young third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes for 6 more years. They have a lot of good young, highly touted players from all of those trades, and that includes 10-foot tall shortstop O'Neal Cruz, whose throw across the infield clocks in at about 150 miles an hour, while also hitting baseballs with a 200-mile-an-hour exit velocity. Slight exaggeration for each statistic? Maybe a little bit, but the bottom line is that Cruz's potential is through the roof, and is someone who can very well be in the thick of a talented Pirates core on winning teams for years. At least that's the plan. The Pittsburgh Pirates, a franchise that finally made it to October baseball after 21 years, was a very competitive and fun team from 2013 to 2015. But ever since Kyle Schwarber and Jake Arrieta broke their team, they've yet to recover. Maybe 2023 will be the start of something special for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Or not, time will tell.